So one of my beloved brothers asked me a question about religion. He's asked basically, how do we know what is the right religion? There's so many religions out here. How do you know which one's the right one? And I'm going to do a video on that because that question is needed to be asked, and everyone who hears this answer is going to be blessed by it. So you need to thank him for asking that question, because how do you know? Well, the simple answer is the pure religion, or the right religion, is one that has all the right answers. And what comes to my mind is what James, the brother, who James, who was the brother of Yahushua, who you know as Jesus, so he would know Jesus, the created the religion we know as Christianity. He should know. He said in James chapter 1, verse 27, pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this. Now, you need to understand that pure means something that's not polluted, untainted. That means it don't have no falsehood. It is the true religion. It's the right religion. He says this is what it is. It is to visit the fatherless and the widows in their affliction. So you need to understand that visiting the fatherless and the widows in their affliction, when they're in trouble, when they're in need. Now, that don't necessarily mean just coming to them and giving them money. Our people, my people, are in affliction and in trouble because they are being led astray into all kinds of wickedness in this world. And you may want to know, well, what's wickedness? How do you know what wickedness? How do you define that? Well, as the verse goes on, it says, to keep himself unspotted from the world. See, the world has their culture and their beliefs and their practices. For example, people break the laws of the Bible. You got to be unspotted, unstained from doing that. So my dear brother had asked that question, and it is an excellent question. And like I was saying earlier, that many of you will be blessed by hearing the answer of that question, because a lot of you are struggling with this understanding about what is the right religion. There's too many of them out there. And not to toot my own horn, but I'm the best person to ask that question, because I'm going to give you an honest answer, because I have studied many religions. Matter of fact, here, I'll just show you this book right here. Book of the National Geography of Religion. Now, this is a pretty thick book. It talks about some of the world's major religions in here. And I've read this book with many other books, and I have studied many different religions because I have asked that same question to myself. What's the right religion? I wasn't always practicing the faith that I practice now, even though, to be honest with you, I grew up in a Christian home. Many of you probably have. I mean, it is lukewarm, which means neither hot, neither cold, as it might have been, as carnal as it might have been, even as sinful as your home may have been. I bet you the majority of your homes has a dusty Bible somewhere on a nightstand in your mother's room or your dad's room or your bookshelf, or somewhere in the house that you have a Bible. Someone's praying, someone's believing, but they're not truly doing it 100%. They just know some things. You grow up in this household and you hear about God and the devil and angels and demons and Jesus, and you say to yourself, well, I'm praying every day. I go to church. I do Christmas. I do Easter. I do Thanksgiving, which is coming up. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. You're saying all those things, but yet when you pray and you look in your life and you say to yourself, I just don't know. It don't seem to be working. I can't always get my prayers answered.
Why is that? You had to ask yourself honestly, what is going on here? So, what I'm coming to you, my brother, my brethren, to tell you that you don't have to give up on the faith. You have to just re-examine yourself. Before you go, and so again, my dear brother, I thank you for asking that question. Really, I do. I appreciate you bringing that question to me, because this gives me the material I need to give to the rest of the people out here who's listening. They are all probably having the same question. So the Most High, Elohim of my fathers, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, has given me the answer. Now I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to visit you. I'm going to give you some words of encouragement. I'm going to give you some moral support. I'm going to show you my concern for you, my brother. As it says, pure religion is those who visit the fatherless and the widows. Many of my people are living in households where there is no father. Many of the women, their husbands have gone missing or have passed away. They're considered a widow. So when we look at that as a whole, who are these people? African Americans, Latin Americans, even Native Americans. They're the ones who's suffering the most from family struggles and family crisis. So I'm going to visit you right now, online, even in person. And I'm going to tell you that if you want to know what is the right religion, it's the one, again, that has all the right answers. Now, I done wrote a little outline here, and I'm going to go through it one by one to help you understand what is the right religion. We all will agree that religion is about some form of connecting or being in tune with the divine, gods or gods. It could be some ritual practices that you're taking part in, but we all pretty much agree that it's about God, right? People ask you, are you religious? That means, do you believe in God? And again, the right religion, I make it very simple, is the one that has all the right answers. So let me give you a good example here. We all kind of want to know, what does God look like? That's an interesting question, right? Haven't many of you thought about it in your head? I hear about a God, but what does he look like? Then you type in God online and you get all these pictures of God. So let's read something here from people who actually were connected with God, who actually had personal experience with the divine. And let's see how they describe God. The prophet Daniel wrote in chapter 7, verse 9, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as a burning fire. Now we're just going to focus right here on who the Ancient of Days is. This is simply the one who was before all time, the God of creation. And he did sit because the kingdoms were cast down. All the world governments have been brought down. Those are the thrones and the powers that be. And his throne was risen up, and he sat down, and is described as having a garment as white as snow. So that's pure white. Actually, when you look into the Hebrew, you'll find out that this is just not white like snow, but it is glistening, shining, brilliant. And it says the hair of his head were like the pure wool. So we get a description right here that God has hair, and his hair is like pure wool. So we can Google some images of woolly hair and even ask Google, what does woolly hair look like? And this is what comes up. It says that woolly hair is usually coarse, dry, fine, and tightly curled. Tightly curled, that's the key word right there. So here's some more images of some tightly curled and coarse hair. Then also in chapter 10, the prophet Daniel also describes the divine as having arms and feet of polished brass. And we could go on and see a confirmation of that, another resource of that, as John, the Apostle John, says that his feet was the color of fine brass as if they burned in a furnace. Now, I don't know about you, but if you burn anything in a furnace, it's going to turn nice brown and black. Test real quick. This is another brass fitting. Let's heat this up. Yeah, because who you call Jesus is described as having feet the color of brass burned in a furnace. So let's put some heat on this, see what happens. What color we get? Now it's going to cool, and John is in his vision, seeing the Messiah's feet, saying it is the color of brass burned in a furnace. So look, y'all, this is brass that's not burnt. That's the side that was burnt. Yep. The one you call Jesus Christ, based on Revelation chapter 1, verse 15. It's a dark-skinned black man. Hallelujah. And for some of you who are saying that, well, color shouldn't matter. Well, it should, and it does, because in Isaiah 29, a prophet makes an issue about color, and he tells you that the progenitors who we come from, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he says that their face will not become pale, meaning will not become white. So you see, this is very interesting because the author of this book is telling you that they're not going to turn white. So we see here, we're getting some truth, but yet world culture is giving us falsehood. Next, we could ask this question, well, what's the name of God? You know, God is a title. It's really even not even a proper word to use. It actually goes back to ancient pagan origins, but I'm not going to get into all that. People want to know, what's God's name? Important. You know why it's important? Because name gives you purpose. Name describes and sums up who you are. What is your role? What are you able and capable of doing? What is your future? What is your destiny? A lot of people don't understand how names are really important and can describe your attribute to its full capacity in just a few short syllables. So what's the name of God? It's not God. God is just a generic term that people are using in English. But what's his name? Is it Allah? Is it Jesus? Is it Buddha? Well, let's read it and let's find out. Psalms 68, verse 4. Sing to God, sing praises to his name, extol him who rides on the clouds by his name, Yah. So we see right here is the first clue that his name is not Lord, it's not God, it's not Jehovah, it's Yah. And that's the short version of his name. There's a longer version, but we won't go into that. I have a video that goes into more detail about that. But if you want to look a little bit further in the next verse, you can see once again why it's important. In pure religion, the right religion is about visiting the fatherless and the widows, because we see right here where Yah is a defender of orphans and widows. So you see, that's his concern, and it should be your concern as well. And like I said earlier, it's not about giving money, but showing concern, compassion, being helpful. And that's what I'm doing. Many of our people are fatherless. A lot of young men out here grew up without a father in the house. Now I'm going to come to you and I'm going to show some concern and help educate you and give you some fatherly advice. And for you widows, you don't have a clue, you young women don't have a clue on what you need to be doing. You're just living your life based on this world, society, and culture. I'm going to give you this advice that you need to come to the knowledge of the one true God of Israel by keeping the laws and commandments. And then the Most High will bless you and defend you and look after you and help you with your children. Another way to find out what is the right religion is the one that gives you plenty of examples. What do I mean by plenty of examples? Meaning that it's not a vague thing. It's not like it's something that is a one-time occurrence, but it has examples stacked upon examples of something that brings about fame and recognition, some type of street cred that people can say, hey, I heard about that religion. I heard about what it can do. I know about that God. Everyone talks about this God because this God supposedly did these things. You see what I'm saying? So we have examples.
The Lord of hosts will do battle for us. Behold his mighty hand. the blast of his nostrils. Lead them through the midst of the waters. His will be done.
I'm touching that part of Red Sea.
That's right.
I mean,
The Lord.
what,
right.
what God, as we read about in history, ever done anything like that for anyone? Has the pagans God done anything like that? No. Right?
That's,
Right.
Only the God of Israel
only the God
is recorded in this book
Yes.
of doing such mighty works. We have to remember what our God, our Elohim, did for our ancestors.
That's right. That's right.
Did he not rain down fire and brimstone on Egypt, hardened Pharaoh's heart, killed their firstborn?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He did all that for us, for you, me. That's why we're here today.
Yeah.
This almighty power that we serve, he loves us so much.
Yeah.
He'll bring down a whole nation
Yes, he
for
will.
us.
Yes, he will.
And that's why we gotta trust in him, because he can do anything. He can be here in a second and deliver you out of anything. And I'm gonna touch on that. I'm gonna touch on that. And if you have a religion that gives you a lot of examples, it's good for you to examine each one of those examples. Another way to pick the right religion is to find one that can tell you the beginning to the ending. Meaning that it knows how you start out and it knows how you're going to come to an end. It doesn't mean that the end of time, but mean that it knows how everything is going to progress, even into the future. Meaning that one that can predict the future, one who actually has the right answers to what is going to happen. You see, a lot of us are living our lives blindly. And why? We're limited in our knowledge. So we want a God, a religion that is not just like us, but one who knows in advance, one who can prophesy the events before they happen and write them down and reveal it to his prophets. If you are prophesying to your people, teaching your people, preaching to your people, if you're out there on the streets, you're out there sharing the word, but yet you don't know anything that's going to take place, you're just as blind and dumb as they are. You're not getting any divine revelation from the Most High. But I have been given it because the Most High has manifested himself to me because I keep his commandments. And when he gave me the night vision, just as Daniel, I praised and blessed the true name of the Most High, Yahweh, and the Son, Yahweh Shai. Because I had asked months ago, wonder who's going to be the next president of leopard skin. Then I woke up. What does that mean? What's the interpretation of that dream? To be clear, Trump will be president. Mark my words. The Most High revealed it to me in a dream. The symbols is for me to interpret. So that way nothing is like done with like, oh, God didn't know. No one knew. It was a mystery. No, someone knew. God knew. It's not like he's up there and saying to himself, oh, I don't have no clue what's going to happen down on earth. I hope this happens. I hope that happens. No, we have a religion that God orchestrates and already knows in advance how things are going to take place, how things are going to occur, or what things are going to occur in this world and even in your life. Let me make this easy for you, black man. One of the penalties for our ancestors breaking Yahweh's laws was a prophecy that they would go back into Egypt again. You have to remember, Israel had just left Egyptian slavery. You can read about that in Exodus. Moses speaks to Israel as Yahweh's spokesman, giving two options: keep Yahweh's laws and become a superpower, or break his laws and be cursed, and this time go to Egypt in ships. And that's exactly what happened. The transatlantic slave trade. And they were sold as bondmen, slaves, and no man bought them, meaning saved, redeemed them from that judgment. Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spoke unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. So you, my fellow black man and black woman, the descendant of slaves, we are the children of Israel.
And it got listed, it's chilly at night. Woo, goodness.
I prophesy to you, saying the time you keep in the feast will be too cold. Yet you ignored it. So as I studied the book of Jubilees, chapter 6, verse 32, and command thou the children of Israel that they observe the years according to this reckoning, 364 days, and these will constitute a complete year. But if they do neglect and do not observe them according to his commandment, verse 34, and all the children of Israel will forget and will not find the path of years, and will forget the new moons and seasons and Sabbaths, and they will go wrong as to all the order of the years, lest they forget the feast of the covenant and walk according to the feast of the Gentiles, after their error and after their ignorance. So to connect the word Gentiles with Luke chapter 21, verse 24, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword. Who is the they? And this is referring to our people, the Israelites, and shall be led away captive into all nations. This took place after the death of Yahushua. It was the fall of Jerusalem, how the Roman soldiers destroyed and ransacked the temple in 70 AD and enslaved and exiled our people. So back to that book of world religions, the geography of religions, we get to the part here on page 234 referring to the diaspora from the Holy Land. It says here, the siege of Jerusalem and the tearing down of the second temple in the year 70 marked the beginning of the great Jewish diaspora, the resettlement of Jews throughout the Mediterranean region, and ultimately the rest of the world. See, again, that's the prophecy that's being revealed in the book of Luke. This was written before it happened. It says also Jews already lived in communities in Babylon and in surrounding Parthian Empire and in Alexandria and elsewhere in Egypt, in Rome, and other cities in Italy and in Germany, especially the city of Cologne, to which a Roman legion had been sent from Jerusalem, taking with them, and here's the key word, taking with them
Jews as slaves. So see, they had started enslaving our people right there in 70 AD, spreading them throughout the world. And this is part of the prophecy that is being fulfilled. Again, the right religion reveals to you right prophecy, not false prophecies. Like people are still trying to propagate their false prophecies about Obama being the Antichrist. They're so distraught that their false prophecies of Kamala Harris becoming president didn't come to pass. They don't know what to do with themselves. They're just itching and grabbing and grasping for straws, trying to find out or find some way to save themselves from being labeled as a false teacher. But that's because their prophecy did not come from the Most High. It came from their own understanding. And again, we are limited in knowledge. You have to have a dream or vision from Yahweh. And then you'll have to have knowledge and understanding to properly interpret. Meaning you have to get the revelation from the Most High of what the dream means. So some of these people out here are just trying to save face. And I know a lot of these women, they are really getting frustrated because their prophecy didn't come to pass. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles. Trodden down. What does trodden down mean? That means trampled. That means stepped on. That means walked upon. Walked upon by who? The Gentiles. What's being walked upon? Jerusalem. That's the holy city, the capital. And how long will this take place? Until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So we can now see that the Gentiles are currently trotting, which means to treading under their feet, desecrating my holy land with their current occupation and colonization. That's what that means, people. It is until. They're going to do this until, which means this is a condition that will continue until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. But these same Gentiles are also observing the feast of Yahweh. Look at their calendar. Now, if you're honest with yourself, are you not fulfilling the prophecy that I read to you in Jubilees when it says that Israel will walk after or walk according to the feast of the Gentiles after their error and ignorance? Certainly, participating in the feast is not error and ignorance. So if you're walking after the Gentiles, you must be doing it simultaneously with them on the same day that they choose to observe it. You're doing the feast on the same day, my brothers and sisters. The same day that they are, the Gentiles. They are ignorant and in error. And the verse 37 says they're making abominable days, the days of testimony, an unclean day, a feast day. So my brother, if you follow the calendar of your enemies, you are committing abominations. The right religion is the one who's looking out for your well-being, meaning that it's looking out for you. And what I mean by that, a religion that looks out for you, mean that one that has your back, one that is willing to protect you and take care of you. And we can see here where Yahushua describes himself as wanting to be a mother hen to his people, as a mother hen protects her chicks and shelters them from the elements. I don't know if you guys ever researched that, but look at some of these videos of how a mother hen courageously and victoriously defends her brood from predators, and with nurturing love shelters them and covers them from the cold and the rain. That's love. That's the religion you want. One that wants to take care of you like a father, like a mother, that's willing to put himself on the line and defend you from your enemies and fight your battles. That's the right religion. Another way to determine the right religion is the one who is only asking for you to do what is right. And so what is meant by doing right or living right? Well, Yahushua, the founder of what you know as the Christian faith, was asked a question. He gave a right answer. They asked him, what is the great commandment in the law? And he says here in Matthew chapter 22, verse 37, thou shalt love Yahweh thy Elohim with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. So with mind, soul, and body. That's what he's telling you. All of your whole being, you need to be putting love towards God. And how do you love God? How do you love God? Well, you need to do what God says. If he's telling you to observe his feast days and you're not observing and doing his feast days, then you're not showing love. He also told people that if you love me, keep my commandments. And then he also tells you here in verse 38, this is the first and great commandment. So the first and great commandment is to love God, which is to do what he says, which is to keep his laws and his commandments, to follow after his ordinances. And as he says, keep his feast days holy, keep his Sabbath holy. This is showing love toward God. And then he says here in verse 39, and the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. So how do you love your neighbor as you love yourself? Well, you just look in the book of Romans. Paul discusses it some more, and you're going to see that Paul is going to lead you right back to the 10 commandments. Romans chapter 13, verses 8. He tells you right here, owe no man anything but to love one another. So that's all you got to do. You got to love one another. For he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. Now let's go into detail about that love. It says here in verse 9, for this thou shalt not commit adultery, meaning that you're not going to sleep around with another man's wife. You're not going to steal that man's wife from him. Or you women, you're not going to steal a husband from another woman. You're not going to sleep around. You're not going to be cheating. Not going to be committing adultery. That's showing love to your neighbor. He goes on, thou shalt not kill. Okay, brothers, someone bumps into you at the club. Someone steps on your brand new name brand shoes. That don't mean you pull out a gun and you kill them. Thou shalt not kill. Show some love. Show a little compassion. Show some mercy. Love your brother. Don't kill your brother. Thou shalt not steal. Okay, you see someone that has something that you have, that you want, and you're envious of it, you're jealous. That don't mean that you need to take it to the next level and steal something that belongs to someone else. Thou shalt not bear false witness. All right, got to stop lying on people. Don't be bearing false witness. Don't tell someone that you saw someone do something that they didn't do and you weren't there. And it also says here, thou shalt not covet. Okay, so now that goes back to the stealing. So you may be envious, you may be jealous, but if you're coveting, mean that you want what they have that doesn't belong to you. You want it so bad that you are coveting it. You're envious and jealous of it to the point that it's going to lead you to do some sin. It's okay to have desires. It's okay to be willing to have motivation and ambition. But when it goes to the next level, it's considered coveting. And you're not supposed to be coveting what don't belong to you. And Paul goes on and says, and if there be any other commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So there you go. That's how you love your neighbor. And that's the right way to live in this world. And that means to live right, to treat your neighbors right, and to treat God right. And with that being said, the way to determine the right religion is the one that's going to reward you for your righteous behavior, meaning that it's going to give you a blessing that's going to help you accomplish your goals, that's going to help you achieve and promote you in this current society. See, many of us African Americans, Latin Americans, Native Americans, we're oppressed and we are put on the bottom of the totem pole, as to speak. But the Most High can raise you up, lift you up higher and higher. You got to think about some of these examples that I mentioned earlier in the Bible where our people were under a extreme persecution and enslavement, but yet some of them were able to excel. Why? Because, again, they were doing the examples. They were following the instructions that was already written. And when you can follow the instructions, then you can utilize this religion. You can operate this religion. You can utilize the power of this God to affect and bless your life. So I look upon my life and I can say I am highly blessed and highly favored. I am blessed above many of my peers. I am doing extremely well. All praises to the Most High Yahweh and His Son Yahweh Shai. Because without Him, I would be doing nothing. I could be maybe in jail. I could maybe be doing drugs. I could maybe, without Him, I could be out there not knowing if I'm a man or a woman. You see, I could be committing crimes, stealing, breaking into my neighbor's house. So it's the Most High Yahweh who has blessed me and kept me out of many of these situations and pulled me out of them to allow me to be able to be where I am at today. So I don't have to go work for my enemies if I don't want to. I don't have to be subject to do their bidding, to work on the holy Shabbat, to break the laws of Yahweh and not be able to observe his feast days on the right day. I don't have to get up early in the morning and clock in and clock out. I'm a self-made man. All praises to Yahweh. And so now I take this time I have now to be able to give back to my people, to help you, young man, to help you, my brother, to have the same blessings, to be able to achieve your goals, to be successful in this world. Even though it's short-lived, things are going to change drastically, but I would say at least for 3.5 years, I think we're going to be okay. I have not got any word yet from Yahweh how things will be in the next term for President Trump. But I do know that if my calculations are right, then we don't have much time left. And I implore you to utilize each and every day to get closer connected with the Elohim of our fathers, the God of our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, so that way you can be spared from the wrath that will come. Yes. Matthew chapter 19, verse 16 to 17. And behold, one came and said unto him, Good master, talking to Yahushua, Good master, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life? And he said unto him, Why callest thou me good? There is none good, but one, that is God. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments. There's no way around it, folks. What you've been taught in your churches have been telling you to disobey the commandments, not to keep the Sabbath, not to do these feast days. So to have the right standing with God is so important, because you read here in the book of John, chapter 6, verse 39, he says, And this is the Father's will which have sent me, that of all which he hath given me I should lose nothing, but should raise it up again at the last day. Verse 40, And this is the will of him that sent me, that everyone which seeth the Son and believeth on him may have everlasting life, and I will raise him up at the last day. Let's skip down to verse 44. No man can come to me except the Father which hath sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day. Let's keep it going. Verse 47. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me hath everlasting life. So I think it's very clear. If you have right standing with the Father, then the Son will grant you everlasting life. It's the right religion is the one who can give you eternal life. So that leads back to what I was just mentioning. We have a short amount of time here things can get really bad, but yet you can excel. You can do well. The Most High can bless you to be to achieve your goals. Say you do need to have a job. I ain't gonna lie to you. I have worked for my oppressors, and with that, I was able to accumulate and accomplish things through saving up money and not being foolish and being wise with my finances. So you can achieve and do well and be promoted up, and it's nothing wrong with doing that, because a lot of us have to start out that way. See, our people suffer from the curse, and we don't have any type of generational wealth. So when we're born, the first thing we got to do is go work for the man. People tell you, go get you a job. We don't have the option, as some other cultures do, where they family come over to this country and they can open up businesses and their children are working for their fathers. And that money stays within that family. So we are not blessed with that because, again, our forefathers broke the commandments, which means broke the contract. And the curse is upon us to now be the tail and not the head. To always be in this servitude form, in this form of servitude, to always be in this form of servitude and have to go and work for someone else other than our own people. So I digress. What I'm trying to get back to you to understand is that you can be promoted even amongst your enemies. You could be promoted and you could succeed and do well. But you want a religion that promises you, that gives you a reward that even after death, you will live again, eternal life. That's important because you could do all this great stuff and you could accumulate and accomplish all these things that you want to do. You could get promoted so high, you could be the president of the United States. But when you die, that's it. All of it will be in vain. What's important is to have a religion that promises you that, don't worry, even when you die, you will live again. It will not be in vain. Life goes on. Time for me to say my midday prayer. I'll be back. And I give you all the glory and the praise in the name of Yahweh Shai. Amen. So if you're still with me, put a 500 in the chat. Let me know that you're listening. Go ahead and put 500. Just type 500 as a comment. You don't have to say much. If you want to say more, feel free. You can comment. You should subscribe. You should share this video. But please comment. I look forward to hearing from you. I like for you to give me your opinions, give me your knowledge, give me your experiences, share with the audience what's on your mind, good or negative. I won't hold back the comments if they're appropriate. And please share the video. Okay, let's get back to where we're at. So I just left off of eternal life. So I gave you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, eight things here that will help you determine the right religion. And as I said earlier, I'm the right person to ask because I have studied many religions. I have this book here called the National Geography of Religions. We have a lot of different religions in this book, mostly the main ones it's going to talk about here. And here, I'll flip through some of the pages here. But I'll read to you this first part here. It's the introduction. It says, from the introduction by the renowned Archbishop Desmond Tutu and his daughter, the Reverend Mufo Tutu, to the epilogue by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. This magnificent volume explores the birthplace of the 5 great religions and follows them as they spread around the globe, defining the role of faith in human life and culture over the ages. So it says here, witness the birth of Hinduism, Buddhism in India, and the three great monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam in the Middle East. So we got about 5 religions it's going to touch on here, and it's going to give a pretty in-depth breakdown of each one. You know, most of us have, I would say, been blessed to been brought up in what you would call a Christian home. And I know you're saying, I'm not Christian, my mother ain't Christian, my daddy not Christian. Well, as lukewarm as that Christian home may be, I bet you there's a dusty Bible somewhere on the counter, in the nightstand, in the bookshelf, hidden around in your house somewhere. I assure you there is someone who is talking about Jesus or God, someone who prays. I assure you that you've been to church at least one time in your life. And some of you are probably saying, yeah, I do all that. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I pray. I go to church. I believe in Christmas. I celebrate Christmas. I celebrate Easter. I even celebrate Thanksgiving. I'm very thankful. I believe in God. But then you say to yourself, well, when I pray and I ask God to do something for me and I don't see it done, I have doubts. I don't believe anymore. I don't know. Maybe God didn't answer because he's not really there. Maybe he's not listening. Maybe this is all just make-believe. Well, my brother, I'm here to give you a word of advice. Before you give up and say, I'm not going to believe in the God of the Bible anymore, I'm going to maybe join Islam, or I'm going to join the Buddhists, or I'm going to get involved with the Hindus, or I'm going to practice Judaism. You know, before you start thinking all these things, I'm going to challenge you to re-examine yourself. Because I'm going to give you an example. You know, religion, picking the right religion is kind of like picking the right cell phone. So what I mean by that, just bear with me. You know, a cell phone has all these options, all these features. And some of the popular ones is the iPhone. Why is it popular? Everyone's talking about it because of what it can do. It's so popular it's so popular that people are spending lots of money just to have it because of all the bells and the whistles that it offers, all the advantages that you have with an iPhone. However, many of you buy the iPhone and you hear about what it can do and it's satisfying to you, but when you wanted to do something else and it doesn't do it, you say to yourself, hey, don't do that. But yet they say how much it can do and what it should be able to do, but you're saying to yourself, I can't get it to do these things. Well, have you read the instructions? Have you taken the time to examine the instruction manual and find out what it is that you got to do to make your phone do what you want it to do? Same thing about religion. This book here is your instruction manual. This religion and an instruction manual gives you a plethora of different things that the God of Israel can do for you and work each and every time. But if you don't read it and follow what it says you got to do in order to get this favor, to get this attention from the God of Israel, then it's not going to work for you. So that's why some prayers are answered, some prayers are not. Sometimes they're not being answered by God at all. Sometimes they're just what they call fortune, circumstances. Time and circumstances happens to us all. Sometimes blessings rain on the just and the unjust. That means those who are doing wrong and those who are doing right. You can't always assume that you are doing everything that you thought was right, and so therefore God should do everything that you want him to do. Start to look at yourself before you doubt. And what I'm here to tell you is that you're going to have to read the instructions, follow them precisely and accurately. And I've already given you a few examples of things you need to know. You need to know the name. You need to know what God looks like. Yeah, you might think that that's not important, but it's not. You got to remember, it's not written in this book for you not to know. It's written in this book because it is going to help you psychologically. When you understand God looks like you, then you understand that he can relate with you. So then you have this personal connection with him now. He's not so far off, unattainable entity that is so different from you that he cannot talk and relate with you. So when he says that he will manifest himself to you, he will do it. We can read John chapter 14, verse 21. He says, he that hath my commandments, this is what Yahweh Shai said, he that hath my commandments and keepeth them, he it is that loveth me. So do you love him? If you love him, you keep his commandments, just as he said. And he goes on, and he that loveth me shall be loved of my Father, and I will love him and will manifest myself to him. So that's the reason why the chariots are overhead, because we're keeping his commandments. We're showing love to Yahweh Shai, and the Father is showing love back to us. And then the chariots, he manifested himself to us. Because see, these chairs are not just here just for show. They're here to deliver. And this is the reason I put up this tabernacle, keeping these feast days, keeping these commandments, because I want to be delivered from the destruction that's coming. There's chaos that's on its way. There's the wrath. He does it because he hears you. He sees you. You are more than you think you are. You're not just an animal from evolution. You are a created being by the Most High Yahweh of all creation. Sure, you're born out of your mother's womb. I'm talking about humanity as a whole. When he created the first man and woman, he created them in his image. So what I'm trying to get you to understand is that you have in this book here, you have, let's look at the first one here. Cool looking picture. You got the Mayans here. Very dark skinned people, by the way. Thought I'd bring that out to you. Here's Hinduism. Here's Hinduism right here. We got Buddhism here. Let me move my hand out the way. I'm just showing you so you can see. I'm making a point here, showing you these books here. Let's look at the Muslims. You know, so here's Islam. See the crescent moon, the star. And as you look at these pictures of these people here, okay, do you notice something? Notice something that I found interesting as I look at these pictures? It's all the religion of their ancestors, meaning that the religion, the Chinese have their religion of Buddhism, and the Muslims have their, or the Arabs have their religion of Muslims. The Jewish people have their religion of Judaism. Don't know what this one is here. We may not talk about that one, but it's reflecting their people and their culture. But yet, my people really think that Christianity is reflecting our culture. It's not. It's not. I hate to say that to you, because I know a lot of you are like, well, I'm a Christian. You could be a Christian, but you need to understand that Christian roots go back to a people of color that look like you. So this is the reason why I'm making a point about to understand what God looks like, to understand what Yahushua, Jesus, looks like, is important, because it's the right answer to reconnect you back to your roots. See, all these people are connecting to their roots. They're connected to their roots. They're going back to their ancestors. You got to do the same. Because our ancestors are the people of this book. They're not white men. They're black-skinned, brown-skinned men like you and me. Now, I'll make a video go in more detail, giving you some more evidence to show you that African Americans, Latin Americans, Native Americans are the people of that book. We are the children of Israel. We are the Israelites, the progeny. We are the progeny of our ancestors. But that information has been stripped away from us. And we've been indoctrinated with European, Western Christianity. And now we think that that is the only answer. And then when it don't work for you, you start to doubt it, because it wasn't made for you. It's been altered to make you misinterpret what your ancestors originally wrote. So we have to dig deep, get serious before we doubt. Before we doubt in the Bible. Because I know that's where it's leading. People are saying, oh, why should you believe that book? All the other books out there, all the other religions out there believe it. Well, you need to, before you are willing to jump ship, rethink your connection with your ancestors and the God that they serve.